we have to do is protect and preserve this great republic, and part of it is praying, voting, and standing. Father took his little girl to Yad Vashem in Jerusalem a few years ago. He wanted her to understand the Holocaust, and he wanted her to understand why 11 million people were murdered, 6 million of them simply because they were Jews. And how that happened because a lot of people in the church just looked the other way, as we saw on the screen when the video of Bonhoeffer was played. And he took his little girl there. She was 11 years old. And he was a little concerned that it might be a bit traumatic for her, but he wanted her to have in her soul an understanding of why people must stand up, speak up, and stop evil. And he took her through Yad Vashem, and she saw what happened as the Third Reich took power and as the Nazis began to systematically murder Jews. They were made to wear the Star of David on their clothing, even as little children, to isolate them, to humiliate them, to bully them. She saw the pictures of what happened in the Warsaw ghettos when children were shot down in the streets by Nazi soldiers. This is not something we think happened. We know it happened because there's photos of it. And you know who took the photos? The Nazis took the photos of themselves shooting children in the street for sport because they were proud of what they were doing. The little girl saw the pictures of Dachau, Bergen-Belsen, and the worst of all, Auschwitz and Birkenau, where alone 10,000 Jews a day were murdered. And when the crematoriums could not hold them, they were marched to the side of large pits that had been dug into the ground. They were shot, pushed by bulldozers over into the pits, and another group was brought to be shot and pushed over. The bodies stacked so high in the photographs, it didn't even look like people anymore, just sticks of lumber. And this little girl looked at those pictures and she stared, and she would read captions under them. And the father was hoping that somehow she was getting the message. As they left Yad Vashem, the little girl walked up to the guest book, which is at the exit of Yad Vashem. She took a pen from her father's pocket and she began to write her name and address, and underneath there was a place for comments. And she paused and then she began to write. The father looked over her shoulder because he wondered, what would she say? Maybe it would help him to understand. Did she get it? Did she know why he had brought her here? He'll never forget the words she wrote. In the comments, the little girl, 11 years old, wrote this: why didn't somebody do something? Why didn't somebody do something? How could people stand there and not do something? Why didn't somebody do something? That's all she wrote. She put the pen in her father's pocket. Didn't say another word for hours. But I stand here today and I tell you that little girl got that message. I know she did. Because today, almost every day she walks to a different podium and she speaks. That podium is at the White House. That little girl is my daughter. And she knows to stand, to pray, and to vote. And I'm asking you, will you be the somebody that'll do the something? You must. You must.